work with energy, so we felt to show you some pictures about the energy world and the transformation from where we live normally to the world of light and consciousness.
This first picture shows a fairly normal, typical gentleman who's, we call it spun up, busy, doing, thinking, acting, and the chakras are willing out this way, all kinds of emotions this way, all kinds of sparks of fire. The energy field is very loud and dominant and takes over the psyche.
So, what I was calling before darkness is also when, for example, we drop into addictions, you know, like watching TV so that we're not conscious of where we are, and all kinds of other addictions. And here you can see he seems to be happily a couch potato, but we know that how the person would feel really deep inside if all you do is being couch potato and watching TV all the time.
We call this energy the blob because it actually comes from the second chakra. The whole energy field becomes blobby, thick, and you just kind of feel heavy, pulled down, more stagnant, more stuck, not dynamic, and definitely not clear or inspired.
Yeah. And very often we find that it's we go into addictions of blobbiness, of watching TV, of being on Facebook, because we're trying to avoid something deeper inside.
A very important aspect of the work that we do is we begin to bring the blob in, the spin in, and we begin to do what we call bring the energy up. There's actually very scientific ways through meditation, but also through psychoenergetic process work in which we lift the energy up through the crown and begin to build a bridge of energy upwards to the soul.
So what happens is that the energy tends to, when we're not connected up, the energy tends to drop down and then blob and makes us heavy. And as you can see, can you go back, Kabir, to the other picture? So this is the same person. That's a whole different quality. And as that person now becomes to start moving the energy upwards and start aligning himself, you can feel how that person starts transforming. Yeah? The whole energy starts opening, it starts aligning inside, and he starts connecting to such a beautiful light and energy in him. Yeah?
And there's a moment that comes, and it's one of the most important moments in a person's entire life, that you open to what we call the higher self or the soul. And at that moment you recognize that you are this much vaster, much greater being than the personality, than the body, who you have normally thought of as yourself. Not only do you recognize yourself as this tremendous being, but the capacities of this being, the love, the intelligence, the vision, the power, the purpose, all start becoming manifest in your life at such another level than you'd ever known before.
Yeah, we call this, the first moment is called soul contact. And then we called when it's kind of like a little explosion that happens, and we call it a soul merge. And from that moment on, you know yourself as a soul here on earth.
We call that the first half of the journey. The second half begins now in that you begin to bring that energy, bring that consciousness down into the body, into the personality. And we call that a soul-infused personality. In that the purpose, the light, the intelligence now begins to percolate through all the centers, through the mind, and begins to reorient everything in your life to live according to that consciousness.
Yeah, it is as if you bring particles of light and consciousness into every part of your body, so that these parts start transforming piece by piece inside of you, because this energy of light and consciousness starts penetrating every cell.
And the result is that you begin to live as an awakened soul, as a soul-infused personality, that everything you do relating to people, working on your computer, driving your car, talking to your kids, going to work, everything you do carries that quality of an awakened consciousness in action.
Yeah, and what's beautiful about is that when you start looking at people, you start seeing them as a soul. So instead of looking their personality, becoming very critical, it opens your heart and you can see the deeper being in people. And that's how you start relating to each other. And slowly you start creating a circle of soul friends around you. And you start living in a world of soul connection and soul consciousness.
And I can only say that to live with another soul, awakened soul, in a soul-based relationship is the most incredible joy I can ever have.
Thank you, Kabir.